Now, our next step, if we go to the instructions, let's see, where do we have the instructions? There we go. Where are we? We've looked at the, we looked at the data there. So now we're going to start doing a map, but to do that, we first of all need to create a new file because we're going to do some mapping and we need to map into a file. So the first thing we do is we go to catalog here. And what we could do is we could create a new type of vector object in our database, because a database is normally where you would want to store things in a lot of cases, and sometimes it's necessary. So we could just create a new feature class here. But what we're going to do for this exercise is create a shapefile. So if we mark the folder where we want to store it, which is in our edit folder here, right click there, click on new, and go down to shapefile. Now what we're going to be doing first of all, in the first part of our example, is mapping some roads. Now roads are linear features, they're lines. So rather than a point, we want a polyline. We'll call that roads. And the coordinate system is an unknown coordinate system. Well, we know this is 3ref99tm. Our project is therefore in 3ref99tm. If we click on edit there, it's a projected coordinate system. We want now our national grids, there they are. And then we go down to Sweden, because we are in Sweden, and we go down to the bottom of that list. There we go, there's 3ref99tm. Lots of parameters for how you make this coordinate system, how you project it. Don't need to worry about those yet, we haven't got to that lecture, just click on OK. So now we're going to be working in the correct coordinate system. We're not going to be using any routing data, we don't really need 3D data for now. Click on OK there, and we've created a file. So if we go to our catalog, we can see now that we have our road shapefile there. There's no data in it, but at least we have a file. So now we need to start mapping, we need to start filling it with data. Now to do this, we're going to create an empty text file and fill it with some data. We're going to give it a point, a location on the map that we want to zoom to. Now we could just zoom in directly in the map by doing this sort of thing to a location, but because this is an exercise in GIS, I'm going to show you a way of entering data into the system, and another alternative way that will become very useful for you later on in your studies. So we click on here, let's create a new file. I'm now in Notepad++, but you can use Notepad, whichever you like, it doesn't matter. I would avoid using Word. That's not a good one to use because Word is, even though it looks like it's creating clean text, it isn't creating clean text, it's actually creating text plus a lot of formatting, a lot of other stuff that you don't see but is there in the file, and we don't want that. What we want is a clean text file. And what we're going to do in this clean text file is we're going to create a table. Now our table is only going to have one row of data, so it's not much of a table, but it is a table. The first thing we need to do is to give it some headers for our table. The first header is going to be the point number, and we'll just call that P, and then we want the northings, we'll just call that N, and the eastings. So I've got 3 columns in my table. The column headers are P, N, and E. You can see they're separated by columns. It's a comma separated value file that we're creating. So the columns are there to separate different values, different columns. And then this is point number 1. And then we need the northern coordinates, which we can get from here, somewhere down here. We've done all that bit. So we're going to go to this location here. So we type that lot in, type it in, copy paste like I'm doing. So we type those coordinates into our CSV file like this. We could, if we wanted, to create a second row with more data here. That should be numbers, shouldn't it really? 6, 7, 7, blah, blah, blah. But we're not going to do that. We can have as many rows as we want, but we just need the one row. Now, another feature I should point out is that commas here are used to separate the different columns, but and that is perfectly valid on a computer because most of the software we're using is written in English-speaking countries, or it's a convention at least that is used in programming to follow the British and American systems, whereby a decimal marker is a point like this rather than a comma. So this is perfectly valid Now we have 3 columns, and this last column here has coordinates specified down to the millimeter. But in Sweden and a lot of Europe, you would rather use the comma to separate out the decimal. This then creates a problem because it now looks like we have 4 columns. The computer is not going to know the difference between a column separator and a decimal separator. So if we want to enter high precision data, either we have to use the point here, or we have to change this for something else. We could maybe change that comma for a semicolon. And therefore, we have to have semicolon throughout our file, or we can use tabs or what have you. We're going to use commas though, because it is called a comma separated value file. Call me a bluff old traditionalist, but there you go. So our comma separated files, and so now we need to save that. So we'll do save, and then we'll just homes. No, I don't want homes. I'm saving here. You will be saving in homes. I am saving it somewhere else. Is my edit folder. Now we need to be careful. This is going to be location or start point or something like that. .csv, not txt. You need to make sure it's CSV in there. Comma separated values. Click on OK, and now it's been saved. So now we can go back to Arc, and we've saved our data in there, and we can see, but it's not there. It hasn't turned up. Now, why is that? Well, it's just because Arc is lazy. So if we right-click there, we click on Refresh, and it turns up. So we can either, now we need to get this data from here into our project. Now we can go add data, or we can just drag and drop it into here. Now look what happens. Everything changes. What happened there? We went from this table of contents view where we had our RGB image and our roads file that doesn't actually contain anything. And we switched to this view. This is our data source view. And we can see that here there are 3 files, whereas in here there were only 2. Because this shows you the layer order, the drawing order of all the files that are visible in the project. At the moment, our data here doesn't have any georeferencing. It doesn't know where it is. It's just data. It doesn't know what the data is. We need to tell it what the data in this is. So we start by right-clicking here, and we go display XY data. The X field, so the coordinates, the X go left to right on the bottom, so that's going to be our eastings, that one there. In the Y field, that's going to be our northings. We don't have a Z field. We could have entered Z data if we wanted to, but we don't have a Z data, so that's why bother. Our coordinate reference system is automatically chosen the same as the whole project. Good. And then we'll click on OK. And some things happen, but what? Well, maybe you can see the tiny little dot coming there. Let's go to this view. It's turned up now in our visible in this view, the visibility view. If we want to know where we are, we can click on properties, and we can go to symbology, click on that, and we can just do that. Click on that, click OK, and there it is. So if we now click on zoom to layer, zoom over there, that wasn't terribly helpful, but we can here change the scale. And I think I suggest 2000 in the instructions, then we zoom in. Now this is just some point. There's no reason for it to actually be here, but this is where I've decided we're going to do a map. So that's why we're here. If you happen to live here, congratulations. Now we know where we are. We don't actually need this visible. We can actually turn that off. It can stay in a project. And now we need to start mapping.